Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video. In this video we'll go through how the Finnish court is corrupt and systematically have been torturing fathers, discriminating fathers for years. This is not a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory video. In this video we will look at concrete sections, paragraph in the Finnish legislation as well as in the European Convention of Human Rights. When I say judges are criminals, I'm not saying they're criminals. I'm saying they're actual criminals. And if you don't have time to watch this video, this is the summary. The entire system when it comes to child custody, child visiting, and child support, including the courts, social workers, police, and the authorities supervising the courts, that is the Chancellor of Justice of Finland, it's corrupt and rotten to the core. I'll see you soon. Welcome back. Okay, so I'm a master of laws. And I say that because my education gives me a somewhat good understanding of the Finnish laws. And I always thought it was hearsay when I heard that the courts are biased and favoring mothers. And now that I've been a part of the system, myself, a quote-unquote victim, I realize it's not hearsay. It's the sad truth. And this video, it will be general things concerning these matters, but also my case, my subjective view on the case. Now there's always many sides to a story, and this is my side. But let's start with a few basic things. So let's start with a couple of things that James from Fathers, Rights and Resources, go check that out, has said. So let's start. This video is, by the way, about a traditional family in the sense that there's a mother, a father, a child, or more children, and they live in the same house. And then they divorce, and let's see what happens. Okay, so first of all, the child needs food, air, water, okay? Security, consistency, unity, structure of family, and they need a mother and a father. Why? To become a healthy, balanced individual. So the family unit itself and private life is protected by the European Convention of Human Rights. So you have a unity. Now when that unity breaks up, why would you start to limit one parent to seeing the child? Wouldn't it be logical to have it as wholesome as possible? So the child spends as much time as possible with both the mother and the father. Now, if the child is so young that it's dependent on the mother, let's say it needs milk, the child is like 6 months old or something, then it's completely understandable that you can deviate from an equal 50-50 situation. A 50-50 situation, I mean that the parents and the children get to see each other equally. So stability, relationships with both parents is what they need. And you wouldn't take away, as James says, water, shelter, food. You wouldn't give like water or food every second weekend to a child. That would be child abuse. So if you're depriving the child of a basic need, you're injuring the child. Now, sometimes the mothers and the courts and so forth, they say that it will be too much to spend time more with the father. Okay. So the children go to kindergarten, they go to school, there are adults there, teachers, new friends, new environments, and they're forced to be in these environments. But then it's too much or too much to spend time with their own biological father. If I didn't mention it, this video is about completely normal fathers. And a normal father, by that I mean a father who has no criminal record, no violent history, no substance abuse problems such as drugs and alcohol. A completely normal father who was present during the childbirth, christenings, family trips, what have you. And all mother, father, and children, or the child live together. Okay. In a case where there's a normal father, there is no logical or rational reason to let the father see the child less than the mother. So let's start with legislation, Finnish legislation. So now we'll take a look at the Finnish Courts Act, tuomioistuinlaki, and we'll look at a couple of sections here. So, section number 3, the courts are independent. Okay. Section number 6, the judges are independent. Okay. And now, section number 7, this is really important. The judge's affirmation, so basically a vow the judges say. They say that on their honor and conscience, that they shall act and judge lawfully and in an impartial manner. Okay. So this is so they have sworn by their honor and their conscience to judge in an lawful and impartial manner. What is impartial? Impartial is that, let's say a black man and a white man is in court, both get the same sentence, for example. This might be the most important section paragraph in these child cases. This is the European Convention of Human Rights. It states in Article 5 that spouses shall enjoy equality of rights. So both shall have equal, the same amount of rights with their children. Also in the event of dissolution of marriage, that's divorce. Okay. So, if the spouses divorce, both shall have equal rights to the children. Very simple, very understandable. Now, there's this exception that you can deviate from this main rule if it's necessary. Välttämätöntä, necessary. At this point, let me give you an example. Let's say you have a dog. You pick the dog up from a kennel. You played with the dog. You watched Lassie with the dog. You ate ice cream, watched movies with the dog, played outside with the dog, went on family trips with the dog. And then I tell you, by the way, now you can see your dog every second weekend. You would be like, is there a candid camera hidden somewhere? How would I make you feel? First of all, if it wouldn't make you feel angry, I would be more surprised than if you would not be angry. Second of all, take that feeling of injustice and multiply it by 100 times. When it's a question about your biological children, family trips, christenings, childbirth, a completely normal family. You live together. So if you multiply that feeling by 100 times, you can understand why this is a very serious matter. Now, let's look at the Finnish Constitution. Section 6, equality, yhdenvertaisuus. So, it doesn't matter if you're man or woman, father, mother. Equality, same rights for both shall apply. If you have a case, according to Section 21 of the Finnish Constitution, you have the right to take it to an independent party or a court of law. So Section 22 states that public authorities, such as the Finnish Chancellor of Justice, shall see that these basic rights are also done in practice, not only on paper. Speaking of which, here is the Act on Finnish Government's Chancellor of Justice. In Section 3, it states that the Chancellor of Justice oversees courts and other authorities. It supervises, watches that the courts are doing everything in accordance with the law and international conventions. All right, so this is the Criminal Code of Finland, Chapter 40, Section 9. So here it states that if a public official, such as a judge, does something wrong, intentionally, it's a crime. So keep that in mind. So we continue now. So now when we have this basic understanding of certain laws, paragraphs, sections, and international human rights. Let's take a look at how the judges in Finland rule when it comes to child custody, child support, child visiting cases. So, look at this. In 87% of the first hearings, the district court, käräjäoikeus, basically says that the mother is now the close parent, so to say, and then the father shall see the children every second weekend. And also that more than half of the mothers apply for sole custody, yksinhuoltajuus. Let's take first a look, as I said, this is about normal fathers. Let's take first a look at this sole custody thing. Now, if you're genuinely in a case with a normal father, if you genuinely want sole custody, it's one of the worst things you can do to limit and deprive time between a biological parent and a child, because that lost time you will never have back. And especially if these court cases also take a lot of time, which is the case in many cases. So applying for sole custody means that the mother is like, I want these children to only be mine. Okay. Now, whether that's true, the mother actually wants that. It's extremely cold, to say the least. Understatement of the year. To imagine that somebody says that you cannot see your children anymore and you're a completely normal father or parent. Number two, if it's a scaring tactic, what do I mean by that? I mean that the fathers are so afraid of losing the right to see their children at all that they're more likely to go along with to seeing their children every second week. And that's also extremely, extremely cold. Let me ask you a logical and rational question here. Are the fathers so horrible and evil in Finland that it's justified that in 87% of cases the father sees the children every second weekend? That's question number one. Question number two. Are the fathers so horrible in Finland that in over half of the cases the mother has to apply for sole custody? And the answer is, of course, no, the fathers are not so horrible. At this point, I can already state that it doesn't matter if it's an old tradition. Let's say a long time ago, some alcoholic sailor got a woman pregnant and therefore it was needed to do something like this to, make the man pay the child support. As I stated, this is about normal fathers who want to be present in their children's lives. So let's talk about child support at this moment. If you don't know how it works like this, that if the father doesn't give sole custody to the mother, it works like this. And the general idea is that both parents shall pay for the child's food, education, clothes, stuff like that. Okay. Now, if the father does not give sole custody to the mother is usually try to minimize as much as possible, minimize the time with the children and the father. The reason is, there are many reasons, but they all have to do with money. They have to do with money because the child support system works as follows. The less time you as a parent spend with your child, and it's a joint custody, the more you have to pay to the parent who has the child. And the logic is that there goes more money to food and clothes. The close parent, so to say, pays more. So that's why mothers try to minimize the time. And they just listen, many a times, unfortunately, just listen to their lawyer's advice. And they get also like a child extra, lapsilisä. And then when they do it like this, that the fathers see the children every second weekend, they also get sole provider lisä, yksinelättäjälisä, sole provider extra. So money basically. Money actually. So it's all about money, 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 money. The leading principle in court should be, in child cases, the best interest of the child. And So far, it's a complete joke. Nobody gives an actual flying fudge about the child's best interest. It's all about minimizing the time with the children and the father in order to maximize the economical gain. So let's take a look a little bit. Greetings to Matt, 33 Secrets, Grats on the Lambo. Here are some of the effects when the father is less present in his children's or child's life. So take a look at this. To summarize it up, the less, and it's again about normal fathers who want to be present in the children's lives, the less the father is in the picture, the more the risk increases for substance abuse problems, too early intimate experiences, school problems, mental health issues. They end up more likely in jail, the children. So the risk increases for unwanted things for the child if the father is less present. Now, the point is not to put down mothers. The point is to say how important the father is in a child's life. So here is a few examples of what I just talked about. So all risk for unwanted things increase. You can pause the video and read this. The risk increases for unwanted things when the father is less present in the children's lives. Let's take a look at one informal, this is the most important part of this video, I would say. This, after my own personal case, and the judge in my case was Ann-Sofie Högström. She's about in the middle of that list. This I got after my case. And it's an informal research. And here you can quite quickly see that the system is corrupt. And do I need some formal or official statistics? Absolutely not. The same way you judges are taking away time with normal fathers, with their children, and taking away time with the children, with their fathers, discriminating fathers, torturing fathers psychologically so that many delete themselves from this world. And you leave reasonable doubt that you have taken away time from a completely normal father. This is even more meat on the bones, so to say, than you judges usually have. What you do, you just slam your hammer at the table. Then you go eat lunch, and fathers delete themselves. So if any authority involved in this process is watching this and you feel hurt or something, before that, you go and apologize to all the children whose fathers deleted themselves from this world, and you go stand in a corner and be extremely ashamed of yourself. This is my view as a master of laws and my personal view. So it's a mixture of them. So that's why I also have very strong opinions in this video. And now we see that I showed you the laws, sections, paragraphs, and one disclaimer about this list. For example, if one judge had only one case and it was beyond reasonable doubt clinically proven that some man was mentally unstable, for example, unstable, or that there was continuous violent acts of the man, then it's completely understandable. But this statistic should be approximately as much blue and orange. And you can see how skewed this is. These judges are criminals. You are criminals and you are psychologically torturing fathers. So this is part 2, where we dive into my own personal case, where I was the father in court. Before that, let's just recap the main point of part 1 that you just watched. In part 1, I showed you the sections and paragraphs, some of them that are relevant in these child cases. And I also showed you the statistics of how these judges rule in court, which proves that they are and have systematically for years violated all of the sections I showed you, and therefore also violated the main leading principle of the child's best interest. They are therefore also guilty of supporting alienation, vieraannuttaminen. So, if you take a baby away from a father, the baby never basically sees the father, there's going to be a moment in time that the baby doesn't know who the father is. And when you have a completely normal father, that is so cruel and torturous, the situation. So, and many a times, majority of cases, the alienation is going on between a completely normal parent and a child. And there is no necessary, ei mitään välttämättömiä syitä to do it. And there should always be extremely heavy reasons and necessary reasons if you're going to do something like that, that you take away time with a parent and a child. Now, before we take an in-depth look in my personal case, which emphasizes and gives you a concrete example how the system works and how rotten it is. This entire video I would not like to have to make it. It's not my favorite thing to share about my personal life, family life, private matters on a public video. But it must be done, because this injustice must see daylight. It must be publicly announced to the general public, to the European Union, to every authority, every person within the Finnish authorities that work with these matters. So a little bit of history regarding my ex and the children's mother, and myself, who is the father. I met the children's mother about year 2000. We had our first date 2007. We got engaged 2014. We had the wedding in the late 2014. And then we divorced in 2020. I moved to a location very near the ex and the children, so I could help with, it would be easy to transport the children here and there, birthday parties, kindergarten, school, stuff like that. Let me start by saying that before it escalated and got worse and worse and worse in court, prior to that, we could, for example, eat sushi at my place with the children. We could watch a movie at my ex's place with the children. So it was working exceptionally well, considering that we just divorced and moved to different locations. At one point, the children and the mother was going to go on a trip. So I wanted to say bye and good night to the children. But my ex, the children's mother, has something against it. So I was pretty upset that the reason I accepted that they were the majority of the time at the mother's place, the children's mother's place, was the fact that it was so flexible. But then she started to deny me to see the children. Okay, so we went to court. In case I forget to mention it, the children are now 10 and 6. And this case has taken now 3 years. So half of the youngest child's life, I've been fighting to see the children. 1/3 approximately of the oldest child's life, I've been fighting to see the children. And what I have claimed in every court, in every stage, was a 50-50 situation where both parents and the children get to see each other equally. I was really surprised of, I thought it would be fair play in court without defamation, mustamaalaamista. But oh boy, was I wrong. For example, this is a signed claim by my ex's attorney, where she says that I had the children maximum 1 night per week. And I have said that I have no interest to have the children more than that. Okay, so this is a blatant lie. If I would not have an interest to see my children, I would not fight in court for 3 years and make this public video about this situation. So that's a complete blatant lie. I will not give you all details because this is a personal and family matter, but she had also other claims which were not true. So this blatant lie about lying about my interest to see the children, I filed a complaint to the Finnish Bar Association. Now, Finns like to drink, but that's not a question of bar and restaurants. Just replace the word bar with attorney. So Asianajajaliitto, Finnish Bar Association. And they said, after they reviewed the case for a long, long time, they said, no problem here. So basically this means that this attorney can write whatever she wants and sign it. And there's no consequences for this. I was extremely surprised, to say the least, when I saw what the children's mother and the children's mother from the mother's side said in court. These are direct quotes from the court case. After the children have been with the father, the children have a great need to explain about the time they have had with him. The children are restless and worried several days after spending time with the father. Now, I can't say that with a straight face because it's insane. This is a blatant lie, and it's insane that how can she even say something like this? Okay. Then my ex's mother said that she sees the children almost daily, and she brings the children to me every second weekend. Then she says that the oldest daughter thinks I'm strict, and the children have complained, among other things, that they don't go out in an entire weekend. The children have also told that the father talks not good things about women, and that my way of speaking to the ex is aggressive. After filming this video, I just had to put this little insert here. So here up in the corner, you can see what the mother said in court. So basically, the children are restless for several days after spending time with me. Okay? And here, under that, you can see her travel consent. So, suostumus siihen, että lapset matkustaa mun kanssa. Okay? So, she says the kids are traumatized in court. This is a direct quote from the court decision. Okay? The court stamps the papers, cha-ching. Now she gets maximum economical benefits. Okay? After that, she signs, and I'm the complete same person during all of these court phases, and the same person I was then. Okay? After that, she consents to the children, traveling with one adult, traveling from Finland all the way to Indonesia. Where's Indonesia? Here. Okay? So 18 hours plus of flights. The only responsible adult for the children's health and safety and well-being during this trip to half around the globe is me. Okay? Did we have a good trip with the children? We had a superb trip. A lot of memories and a very good trip. And of course, I made sure that the children are hydrated, they got enough food, slept well, and made sure we were cautious in traffic. So the mother says the kids are traumatized with me, yet she has no problem with the children flying with me for over a week, half around the globe. So there's two options now. She lies in court that I'm a horrible person and the kids are traumatized in order to get maximum economical gain. Or option number two, I am actually a horrible person. The kids are traumatized spending time with me. But there's no problem whatsoever to travel with only me half around the globe. If it wasn't evident enough, I was like for 12 years with the mother of the children. Also knew the mother's mother, so the grandparents from the mother's side. Knew them for over 10 years. Had many lunches with them, spent Christmases with them, birthdays with them. So it was a complete surprise that they can say something like this. And this is what I meant in the part number 1, that they just listen like headless chickens to what their attorney says. It's logical if you want maximum economical gain and try to take away the children from the father, yes. But then the attorney/lawyer should give a clear understanding to the client that if you say these things and illegally try to take away the children, that all relationships surrounding the children, in which the children are the worst victims, will be inflamed. You can't expect to lie in court, take away someone's child, and then expect everything to be normal after that. You can't be that naive. Taking away someone's child from a normal parent is sick, it's low, it's so cruel, there's no words for that. The judges making these decisions, these are the same judges that write in the decisions that something was cruel, raw and reprehensible. Erityisen raakaa, julmaa ja moitittavaa. The same judges who are criminals violating multiple paragraphs, national and international. Okay, so let's look at my case and the court map in my case. And this is, by the way, not all of the court cases involved. Okay, so let's go. So if you haven't been to court, to Käräjäoikeus, district court, it's not like 5 men with wigs and, and they have a meeting and discuss there. Usually in these cases, it's only 1 judge and 1 secretary. So 1 person and 1 secretary. Okay. So February 2021, we went to court. There, the mother wanted me to see the children every second weekend and then 1 day in between. So I saw them every week, but only 1 day in the weeks between. This was a temporary decision, May 2021. This was the second temporary decision now. And I'm talking about boxes A and B. Okay. These temporary decisions, you can only complain about a permanent decision, not a temporary decision. Okay. So in box B, it was decided. And when I say decided, because the mother claimed so. And in general, these things work so that the mother dictates things and the court and social workers just approve everything that the mother wants. Okay. So in box B, it was decided that I shall see my children every second weekend because the mother wanted so. So I drove home basically in a shock state. I was like, how on earth can the mother of the children claim this? And how on earth can a judge approve this? That a completely normal father, his and his children's time together gets taken away due to economical reasons and due to the continuous criminal actions of judges. So I drove home. I couldn't sleep because this decision was insane. Because I was a completely normal father. Okay. So I couldn't sleep. So in the late night, I wrote an application to the court. I sent it to the judge herself, to her supervisor, Christian Hirn, and the court's general email address. I sent it the same evening that we got the temporary decision in box B. So now we are in box E. So nothing happens. And later I found out that the judge went on her summer vacation. So you stay passive. By the way, according to the law, when I send an application, it becomes pending, vireillä. So they can't just remain passive. Anyways, they remain passive. So I send another application in October 21. Nothing happens. So this means that my access to justice is denied. Now, I told you that temporary decisions, you can't complain about them. That's why I sent a new application in box E. But since the district court did not take it, take the case. And they did not ask me for any additional information, which should be the case should the application be insufficient in some way. So the only choice I had was to send the case to the Court of Appeal, Oikeus. So I sent it there in January. I got the decision in January 2022. And they said, nah, my right, you can't complain about a temporary decision. And anyway, my right is secured in the sense that I can ask for a new decision from the court. Which proved that they did not understand the case at all. Because I had sent a new application in box E. But they just remained passive and did nothing. So I had no other choice than to take it to the Court of Appeal. But they said, nah, his rights are protected because he can apply for a new decision. Which is the exact thing I did before I took it to the Court of Appeal. Okay. And then in box G, the Supreme Court says that, nah, it's fine. And what I mean it's fine, they say that they basically approve. Just give a green light to what the Court of Appeal said. Okay. Now, then social workers are involved in this case. And box C, this is the permanent decision of the district court. And the decision was that I get to see my children every second weekend from Friday 2 o'clock to Sunday 2 o'clock. The judge in box ABC is the same, Ann-Sofie Högström, which, according to the statistic, is a criminal, and she is a criminal. Not only did she deprive me and my children time together illegally without any necessary reasons, she also stated in her decision that my income was higher before, and I proved it to her. When the decision was made, my income was a bit lower. Okay. Nonetheless, she writes in the decision that the ability to pay child support will be calculated on the previous higher income. So she calculates the child support on a previous higher income, which is not de facto the income during the point of ruling. She takes away my children, deprives time illegally. She also says that, taking into consideration the children's age, that they were 3 and 7. They had no need, for example, to be with the mother. There was no reason to deviate from a 50-50 situation. So that decision was completely illegal. Furthermore, I said that the child support shall be that I do not approve anything over the minimum amounts. But she put them higher than that. And she wrote also in the decision that the mother gets lapsisä, so child extra from the state. The mother gets yksinelättäjälisä, sole provider extra. And she gets child support from me, based on an income level I did not have at the moment. And based on calculations higher than I approved. They all just believe everything the mother says. And if you don't communicate as a woman, you communicate from their point of view wrongly. You're the evil masculine. Now, regarding the social worker's job was to evaluate the circumstances where the children are going to be when they're with the father, when they're going to be with the mother. Needless to say, these are the social workers, this is the supervisor, and it went like this. During a Teams meeting with the social workers, they themselves admitted to me that in 87% of cases, the mother wins. Okay, so this entire show involving the court, the social workers, the police, I will get into details later, and the Chancellor of Justice, it's a theater play with a predetermined outcome. which is to discriminate the father and make an illegal decision against the child's best interest. Okay. So the social workers, for example, they said that one of my tables is dangerous for the children. I said, the mother has a table that doesn't even move and with sharp corners if the children hits their head. And they also claimed that I had threatened the mother, which I had never done. Had I been mad to the mother? Of course. As I said, if I take away your children without any necessary heavy reason, I would be more surprised if you would be, well. Like, it's totally understandable that a person is not so happy if you take away their children. And especially when it's the best for the children that everything surrounding the children is fine. That the grandparents on both sides, the parents can communicate and keep a good relations, but no. So just to recap, boxes E, F and G, all these are done because access to justice was denied in box B. Also, in box C, I just started my limited liability company, and I had my first client several hours after the court day started, but the court day just got longer and longer. I said, I have to go and be here at that time, and I would like to apply now that we can listen to the witnesses, and the witnesses was the mother of the children and her mother. So the mother from the grandmother's side. But they just heard the witnesses without my presence. And now what the witnesses say, they said everything the mother's lawyer said that they should say to defamate me and make me put me in an extremely bad light. Again, I understand that there's a certain blood is thicker than water, but you have to realize that there's no necessary or very, very heavy reasons to deviate from a 50-50 situation. You have to understand that how wrong it is to deviate from equal visiting rights between mother and father and the children if there is no actual reason. No actual reason other than economical greed. So these, I filed a complaint about these social workers, and I also wrote them a 40 or 50 page feedback saying that this is a completely normal situation. I've been part of their life, my whole life. We live together normally. There's no problems. But wouldn't it be great if a father in this kind of a situation would have recorded, for example, an engagement that took place with the mother, the wedding, christenings, family trips. Let's say the father would have an extensive evidence package proving that he was a good and normal father and husband. Well, let me tell you something. I had that. At this point, I'm gonna here simultaneously put a compilation of the evidence that was never looked at in the district court, and probably neither in the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. But I'll put it here so you can see. I'll blur this because of privacy reasons. And while I can talk a little bit simultaneously about the social workers. So if I say something to social workers, they're saying that I'm trying to manipulate the outcome. And if the mother says something, they're like, yeah. So it's so biased. It's a complete farce, a complete theater show. From a moral, ethical, legal, whatever perspective, there is no heavy or necessary reason, in my case, to deviate from a 50-50 situation where both the mother and the father gets to see the children equally. And the social workers are corrupt. They automatically take the mother's side. That's just how it is. And it's illegal to do that. It's illegal to do that. Now, this evidence showing now on the screen, it was never looked at the in boxes C. So I took this main case to box D, Court of Appeal, and box H, Supreme Court, Hovioikeus, korkein oikeus. Both said that, nah, we'll keep the previous decision. So decision C shall remain. By the way, why is there almost a year between box B and C? The reason is that my access to justice was denied because they did not take my application in box E. So that's why it's a year in between. This also shows how biased the situation is, because they don't even look at the father's application. But when the mother sends, then okay, let's start looking at the case. So at least the following laws/principles were broken. Access to justice, pääsy oikeuteen, was denied. They did not take my application in box E. Also because the time with my children was taken illegally from me. The child support calculations were based on false economical information. A fair trial was denied from me. Good administration was denied. The service principle, they didn't ask for any additional information. Should my application in box E have been insufficient? Now, as you can see, this whole timeline, swift justice, nopea oikeudenkäynti denied. And this is a case about small children and the parents' rights to see them. Also, when she witnessed, despite my request to hear the witnesses with my presence, she heard the witnesses, and especially when they defamated me, mustamaalasivat, it would be extremely important for me to be there to quote-unquote defend myself against these allegations that I'm a horrible father or something, which is a complete lie, as this video proved. So, perhaps it's only in criminal cases, but audiatur et altera pars, myös vastapuolta on kuultava. That was denied too. So after the Supreme Court's decision in box H, I took this to the Chancellor of Justice in box I. And in September 2023, they gave the decision that, I'll freely translate this, but this is straight from the decision. They said that, there's nothing wrong here. Everything's fine. So, if nothing else, can you see how rotten this system is? How corrupt it is? Even just by looking at the video material I showed you, there should be left a heavy suspicion that you are discriminating a completely normal father. I sent them this email, and I basically asked them, why are you allowing this? This is the statistics. I showed the same statistics to them I showed them to you. Then I also told them a couple of things that happened to the children. By the way, the social workers' feedback I gave to the social workers and their supervisor, you can probably guess what the end result was. That they've done everything correctly. Now, the following things I am telling you just to show you how messed up the situation is in Finland. When I was at the dentist with my oldest daughter, the dentist asked, what are these bruises in the child's mouth? I was like, what? Then later I find out that the grandfather from the children's mother's side had accidentally, yes, smacked with a skith, whatever it's called, the ones that reapers have, a field working tool, with the handle smacked my oldest daughter's mouth so that there were several months later visible marks. Okay. So I filed criminal charges against the grandfather from the mother's side. Now, at one point when he picked up the children, he was like, You filed criminal charges against me. Now here's a great example once again about the audacity of human nature. You smack my daughter in the mouth. So I find out about that at the dentist, that somebody has hurt my daughter. And then you're pissed off. Then you are pissed off that I filed criminal charges when you smack my daughter in the face and don't tell me anything about it. Oldest daughter, she has already had 3 to 4 cavities in her mouth. By the way, these two aforementioned things have official dental health records. These are not claims taken from the sky. Okay. Now, the children's mother, my ex, has mildly assaulted me in front of the children, and she has herself, this is in a court document, stated that she remembers this thing. There's picture evidence of a burn mark on the youngest daughter's arm. The youngest daughter has been left unsupervised in the bathtub. All these things, by the way, has been when the children have been with the mother. Now, one time, the children's mother's mother, so grandmother from the mother's side, she picked up the children from my place. At that time, the youngest daughter, her height was so that she, according to the Finnish traffic law, she needed a seat, extra seat, in order to be driven according to the traffic law. And the reason is that if she did not have the seat, the safety belt came on her throat like this. Okay. The problem with this is that if there's an emergency braking situation or a collision, there's a risk of the safety belt crushing the throat. So I told the grandmother from the mother's side that before she drove away, I told her that she needs an extra seat. And the grandmother said, well, it's here nearby where we're going. So this is on purpose jeopardizing the child's health and safety. So I filed criminal charges. The police said, nah, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm smiling because it's insane how biased the system is. I'm smiling because I will tell you my summary, my main point why I'm telling you all these things is if any of these things would have happened while the children would be in my presence, I could only dream of seeing my children ever. That's why I'm telling you these things, of these health and other risks that has happened to the children while they've been with the mother and the mother's parents. So I took this safety belt matter to the Ombudsman of Finland. They said, nah, there's no problem here. The children's mother has been called to the police station for several speed limit violations. Also, let's say within a year, the children's mother was stopped by police due to violating the speed limit while the youngest daughter was in the car. The youngest daughter fell on the kindergarten yard, hit her head hard on the ice, so her permanent tooth became loose, and the children's mother and her mother delayed taking the child and showing the child to medical professionals. So in the light of all the aforementioned, isn't it incredible that I am the one whose time with the children is being limited? So it's not so difficult to understand that I'm extremely unsatisfied with the situation, and I'm very mad that the children's mother claims and the court approves, and here comes the point, the Department of Justice didn't see anything wrong with this. And after I sent them this mail, they sent that, we looked in this case and we see nothing wrong with it. And by the way, we're not going to look at your case again. So if this doesn't prove how messed up the situation is, I don't know what proves it. So what is the current situation? The current situation is that in box J, I took this case to the European Court of Human Rights. Euroopan ihmisoikeustuomioistuimeen. I sent it there in December, and I hope for the best. All the documents and appendixes, attachments, decisions, you can't send it electronically there. So let me just tell you that the application plus the appendixes was 1,700 pages plus, and approximately 8.5 kilograms was the paper amount sent there. So we shall see what happens. Since there have been several risks for children with the mother, I contacted these persons, and they did nothing. And yeah, they said they called the mother and everything is fine. So I immediately knew this is corrupt too. So I sent them an email. I put, these are my claims that I just told you, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on. And I said, how did you investigate each of these points I had to you? And you can probably guess that the answer was not, this is how we investigate this is how we investigate that. It was more like a friendly phone call. If the roles were reversed, these things would have happened to the children while they were me. I would never see the children. Also, one thing I want to emphasize. When this illegal decision is made, and if you refuse to pay a single euro based on an illegal decision, a side note, there is nothing wrong with, and it's supposed to be that both parents invest economically in the child, in the children. I don't have a problem with that. But I do have a problem with limiting time illegally to maximize economical gain, a corrupt court system, making men and fathers into economical slaves, causing men heart and cardiovascular problems, causing men to delete themselves due to this injustice. That I have a problem with. So if you don't pay, if you don't follow the illegal decision and pay, the authorities send to every workplace you've ever been, every workplace you ever go, they send a document saying that if you pay this father anything, we want a part of it. And if you don't have a 9 to 5, for example, then they suck the money from your account. And then if you complain that, what are you doing? This is based on an illegal decision, and it's pending in higher authorities, they say, it doesn't matter if it's pending. And by the way, we can't check the legality in the decision. We just do what we're told. A quick summary. Judges in Finland are violating multiple laws, making decisions against the child's best interest, discriminating fathers. The transfer of justice, who is supposed to supervise the courts, doesn't care at all. Are there any solutions? Well, since this has been going on for years in Finland, I have a very hard time seeing that the change will come from within. I mean, courts, police, social workers, transfer of justice. It's all corrupt in Finland. That's why I urge many of you to publicly shed light on your own case if you have had similar experiences. In a dream world, the European Union / the European Court of Human Rights would say to Finland that this illegal torture stops now. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.